This message is for the conscious community. And when I say conscious community, I don't mean the quote unquote mainstream teachers. I mean the actual followers of the conscious community, people that are eager and thirsty for knowledge of self and trying to awaken from the sleep and spiritual lockdown that we have been placed in. At what point in your journey have you realized that this awakening is beyond what we have been told? Now, when I say that, I'm referring to the so-called enslavement of black people done by Europeans, that we have been forced to work and live in this matrix lockdown, as far as being forced to put your children in school and forced to pay rent, forced to use money, and basically forced to do labor to live. Because that is not the matrix. I mean, yes, it is a form of physical slavery, but the real lockdown that we are actually in is a mental cell that goes beyond the European. Now, I'm pretty sure that there have been a few teachers, I'm not too clear on this, but I'm pretty sure there has been a few teachers that have said that the European does not have the intelligence or the capability of putting us in the mental slavery that we are in today. And that is actually true. But what is putting us in this mental slavery goes beyond what the average person, I think, is imagining. Because a lot of us are still stuck on the race issue. That is why it's so popular now to dress up with Black Lives Matter tags or titles, and wearing dashikis, and the natural hair movement, and the health conscious movement. Now, all these things are very important. It's very important to be healthy. It's very important to love yourself and want to be as natural as possible. And the whole getting back to nature movement, like, it's very important to try to get out of this quote unquote lockdown that we have been in. But it goes further than eating healthy and getting closer to nature, or what we consider nature. A lot of us, I think, don't even know what nature is. I mean, that's a whole nother topic, but I mean, I could touch on it a little bit. Like, nature is not the soil that we're stepping on, or the trees that we see, or the fruit that we're eating. Nature is actually darkness in the air itself. It's spirit itself. That's nature. Like, if we're trying to get back into the root of it all, which I would believe would be your drive to get back into nature, you would have to go beyond this physical realm, which will bring you beyond the trees. It will bring you beyond the fruit. It will bring you beyond the soil. It would actually bring you into the spiritual realm. It would bring you into thought and consciousness itself, knowledge and information and energy itself. And when you get into that, that's when you can really see where the matrix has put us to sleep, where the system has put us to sleep. When you are actually trying to get in touch with the source, you can see the blockages. You can see how we have been so distracted by the conscious community. Now, I'm not saying that these teachers are distracting us, because a lot of them may not even know. Some of them do. But we, as the average people, are distracting ourselves with what we are considering to be conscious. As far as trying to be more healthy and making that into a whole religion, to where our entire life is about getting this right vegetable and eating and trying not to cook our food and eating raw foods and getting our children to glorify what we're eating. Now, it's very important to be healthy, but it's very mentally and spiritually sick to obsess over what you're eating when we are not actually physical beings. So the drive and the obsession with trying to elongate this physical shell that you're in is a symptom of the spiritual and mental sleep that we have been placed in. When you get into the root core of why you're even conscious, or why you're even quote unquote waking up in the first place, where do you think this information and this drive and energy is coming from? It's not coming from this physical plane. I mean, yes, energy and spirit dwells within the physical, as far as nature and trees and the things that you see as far as real, quote unquote real to be. But you have to get in touch with that actual energy itself to say that you are trying to get back into nature. What exactly does that mean? I mean, does that mean living in the forest? Does that mean eating only plant-based food? Does that mean grounding and allowing your feet to touch the soil? Because yes, these things are important, but at what point do you go beyond that? At what point do you recognize that that source energy that you are connecting with, that you're perceiving to be this physical world, is actually inside of you? That you are actually connected to that source, and that all of your time and energy needs to be extracted from this physical realm and extracted into yourself. I don't know if that was a word, but it needs to be put more into yourself, because all these things that we are striving to look for, everything as far as our studying of our past and who we used to be and who built the pyramids and who was the original Illuminati, all of that power and information and energy is actually inside of yourself. That is where God is. And now a lot of people that are coming into consciousness are actually coming out of religions. And from what I've seen, a lot of them are just trying to find another religion to go into, something that is a little bit more black, I guess you can say. But we need to get out of religion altogether. Now, there's nothing wrong with religion, but there is something wrong with being religious, where you're closed-minded to other information, you're closed-minded to other perspectives and other perceptions of reality. You have to become unlimited in how you perceive consciousness, or what you perceive conscious to be. I mean, it's not just about locking your hair, it's not just about being vegan, it's not just about living in nature. It goes beyond that. When exactly are you tapping into all this power that you say that we possess as black people? I mean, yes, it's good to know your history, but if you're not actually doing or trying to become those gods or those black people that you are studying, then there's no point of studying it. There's no point of teaching it. If you're aware that we built the pyramids, why aren't you tapping into that power that built those pyramids? Why aren't you trying to figure out what was the science behind the point of building those pyramids? And not just to have it as a conversation. I mean, actually do this. Like, make this your life to fully awaken yourself as a god. If we're saying that we're gods as black people, does God really need to hug the trees? Does God really need to ground itself if it is the creator of all things? Because, I mean, to my knowledge, my perception, I would believe that the God has a lot more to do than to indulge itself in in a few of its creations. Because, I mean, if we're God, I mean, let's be real. Obviously, we have created more than just the soil. We've created more than just the trees. We've created more than just the fruit and the vegetables. Why are we not exploring everything that we have created? What about other realms, other dimensions, other species, other forms of life? If you are trying to become more natural and more quote unquote human, then you haven't woken up all the way. You're not aware of the fact that that's a limitation. We're supposed to be waking up to becoming unlimited, infinite energy beings. You can't even put God as a title. It's beyond that. We are beyond that. We are pure energy. We're pure light and dark. That goes beyond a human. Now, this information is not for everybody. I repeat, a lot of people are not going to understand this, and it's not in all black people. It's not in everybody's DNA to actually understand what I'm talking about. But for those who do, for those that are actually studying the information of consciousness, but still go beyond what they're seeing in these videos, you just need that little bit of nudge. You just need somebody else to actually maybe tell you that there is something more. There is something beyond what is being portrayed. Because even though a lot of people are putting out really good information that we need to know, we still have to realize that the sources that you're getting it from is being filtered. A lot of these teachers are being funded by the same people that's putting us to sleep. A lot of them are being directed to not put out certain information, to keep you stagnated in your search for knowledge. So I mean, my suggestion would be to just go within yourself. Don't allow somebody else to guide you to the source. Guide yourself to the source. And when you reach there, then you will realize that you have been limiting yourself with what you have been perceiving to be conscious. The source has no limits. It has no fixed way of being. You can't say, oh, well, because I'm conscious, I have to live this way. Then you're not conscious. Being conscious, truly conscious, you can live any way, anyhow, anywhere. You don't have to live here. You can live in a whole nother dimension within this realm. There are several dimensions within this realm. So people will say, oh, well, I'm conscious, so I have to be vegan, and I have to live in a tent, and I have to freeform my locks, and I have to homeschool my children, and I have to listen to these teachers, and I have to follow this way, and I have to burn this type of incense and this sage, and I have to have these type of rituals. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to do any of that. I mean, it's good to have your own sense of peace and your own aura and aroma that you would like to create for yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. But to have a fixed way of living is not conscious. That's just another form of the Matrix. The Matrix is just basically locking you into one way of existing. Even the whole back to human, back to nature movement is locking you into one way of living. That's just another religion. It's another matrix. If you are an unlimited, unfiltered source of energy, you can live in a different dimension every day. You can live in a different life every day, just based off of your perception. I think what a lot of people have the issue with is a limited imagination, a limited perception. There is a definite connection between your imagination and your perception. And actually, they're actually the same thing. That's gonna be another video, but yeah, I think that we need to expand our perception on life, our perception on experiences. When you do that, then you'll realize that you can move through dimensions on a daily basis. Once you reach that point, then you realize that you have control over how many dimensions you move into and what dimensions you move into. That is actually truly being free. Being free is not fitting into a box that has been given to us, as we would like to call being conscious, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, this is not to downgrade anybody. This is not to say anybody else is wrong, because there is no such thing as wrong or right, but I just think that we need to work towards truly being free, and I don't really see a lot of teachers speaking of that. We need to go beyond these titles, go beyond these limitations. You have to go beyond being conscious, because before we were placed into the matrix, what were we called? What were we in? Was that just being? Were you just being? Because that would make more sense to me. I mean, I don't think before we were in the matrix we were trying to search for ourselves. I mean, that should just be a given. We didn't have a one set way of life. Everybody lived the way that they wanted to live, and it was unlimited and free. I just think that we need to get out of these boxes, get out of these shells, get out of these cells that we are placing ourselves in. Just free your mind.